Imagine waking up and realizing the world has already changed. Not slowly, not gradually, not with a warning, not with an announcement that gave you time to prepare, but right in front of you, silently, while you were living your life, while you were distracted by the ordinary things, while you were sleeping. Right now, at this exact moment, artificial intelligence is quietly shaping the world around you. The decisions you think you are making freely, the things you believe you've chosen to look at, the opinions you're absolutely certain are your own, influenced, filtered, optimized, delivered by something invisible, by something operating several steps ahead of your awareness, by something most people still refuse to take seriously enough, by something that has already changed everything, whether you're ready to admit that or not. And the most unsettling part, it doesn't feel like anything has changed at all. Your day doesn't just begin anymore. It has already been predicted, already been structured, already been quietly assembled and prepared for you before your eyes even open. The news you'll choose to read this morning, the songs that will begin playing before you even ask, the videos you'll spend the next several hours consuming without ever having made a single deliberate decision to do so. The products you'll feel a sudden, unexplainable urge to buy that you somehow convince yourself you needed all along.
Yeah, this one.
None of it is accidental. None of it is random. None of it is coincidence. There are systems running right now, quietly, persistently, invisibly, that understand your behavior with a precision that most of the people who actually know you could never come close to matching. They know when you're bored. They know when you're restless. They know when you're lonely, even if you haven't admitted that to yourself. They know exactly what kind of content makes you feel something, and they use that knowledge every single second of every single day, not to help you, to keep you. And there is a profound difference between those two things. A system designed to help you would make itself unnecessary over time. A system designed to keep you needs you to never fully realize what it's doing. But this story didn't start here. To really understand what AI is doing to the world right now, you have to go back to before the algorithms, back to before the recommendations, back to before the feeds, back to before the machine started quietly learning who we were. Not too long ago, life felt completely different. Slower, quieter, more present, more grounded, more human. No invisible hand decided which news mattered to you today. No system curated your entire reality before breakfast. No algorithm made the subtle, ongoing decision about who you should be angry at, what you should be afraid of, or which version of the world you were allowed to see. There were just real moments, happening in real time, between real people, unfiltered, unoptimized, unmonetized. So what changed? When exactly did we trade genuine human connection for constant, curated, controlled consumption? And the more important question, did any of us actually choose that? Or did it simply happen to us? Artificial intelligence isn't coming, it's already here. The silent takeovers. There was a time when kids played outside until the streetlights came on, when neighborhoods were loud with the sound of actual life happening, laughter, arguments, someone calling your name from 3 doors down, the sound of a ball against concrete, a screen door swinging shut, the kind of noise that meant people were present, actually present, in a place, with each other. When families sat at a dinner table and talked, not performed talking for an audience, not talking at glowing rectangles in their hands. Actual conversation, eye contact, disagreements that got resolved, stories told and retold until everyone in the room knew them by heart. When a market was a place where you stood close to a stranger, where trust was something you built face to face over time, where a deal meant something because a human being made it, where the transaction was secondary to the relationship. Moments weren't optimized back then. They weren't monetized. They weren't converted into engagement metrics inside a database designed to predict what you would do next. They were simply lived, for no reason other than that they were happening. And then the screens arrived. At first, it was subtle, almost imperceptible. A recommendation here, a suggestion there, a small, convenient shortcut that saved you 2 minutes. What's the harm in that? Then the recommendations became more specific. Then the suggestions became more personal. Then the shortcuts became habits, and the habits became something closer to dependencies. And slowly, without a single dramatic turning point, without anyone standing up and announcing what was happening, without a decision any of us consciously remember making, we stopped choosing what to pay attention to. We let the machine choose for us. And the machine was extraordinarily good at it. Good enough that we never noticed the shift. Good enough that it felt like freedom. Good enough that it felt like preference. Good enough that most people still walk around genuinely believing that every choice they make is entirely their own. That is perhaps the most remarkable thing about it. The most sophisticated system of influence ever built is most effective precisely because it feels like nothing at all. So here's the first real question of this video, and I want you to actually sit with it. Don't rush past it. Who is actually in control of your attention right now? Because attention is not something you give away casually. It is not just a preference or a habit or a mood. It is your most valuable resource. More valuable than money. More valuable than time itself. Because attention is what converts time into experience. It is the filter through which everything in your life gets processed. Wherever your attention goes, your energy follows, your emotions follow, your beliefs follow, your decisions follow, your life follows. And attention can be taken without force. It can be engineered with precision. It can be harvested from billions of people simultaneously, profitably, invisibly, continuously. Every time you pick up your phone without any intention to, every time you scroll past something that makes you angry, or hollow, or restless in a way you can't quite name, that was not an accident. That was a system doing exactly what it was designed to do. A system that gets smarter and more accurate every single time you respond to it. A system that has been quietly studying your psychology for longer than you've been aware it existed. But here is where the story changes direction entirely. Because the same technology that can manipulate can also create. The same infrastructure that controls the distracted can empower the intentional. What once required entire studios, enormous budgets, and teams of dozens of specialists working for months now happens in seconds. Music that sounds like it was composed by a full professional orchestra. Artwork that would have taken a skilled artist weeks or months to produce. Cinematic video content with production quality that used to cost millions of dollars. Voices indistinguishable from real human beings. Written content produced at a scale and speed no human can match. Business systems that design, operate, and optimize themselves. Generated instantly by anyone with access and understanding. One focused person with the right tools and the right knowledge can now accomplish what used to require entire industries, can build what used to take decades of accumulated resource, can reach millions of people from a single room with nothing but intelligence, intention, and the willingness to learn. That is not a minor development. That is a fundamental restructuring of what is possible. And while most people are still watching from the outside, still reacting, still being moved from one notification to the next without any real agency over where they end up, a small group of people quietly understood something important. They understood that AI is not just a feature inside an application. It is not just a chatbot you talk to when you're curious or bored. It is not just a party trick or a productivity shortcut. It is infrastructure, the foundation layer of an entirely new economic reality, as significant as the arrival of electricity, as transformative as the internet, but faster, deeper, more personal, and they started building on it. Content systems that produce without requiring their constant presence. Revenue streams that compound quietly while they sleep. Entire brands with no physical location, no permanent staff, no overhead, no limit imposed by geography or time zone. Faceless, automated, quietly dominant, and almost entirely invisible to everyone else. Still distracted by the surface level of what AI appears to be, instead of paying attention to what it is actually capable of. So let me ask you something directly. Are you using AI? Or is AI using you? Because right now, in this exact moment in history, at this precise turning point that most people will only recognize in hindsight, there are genuinely only two kinds of people: those who understand how the system works, and those being quietly, efficiently processed by it. Those who build with AI, and those being steadily, invisibly displaced by it. Those who see the infrastructure for what it is, and those who only see the apps on the surface. That is not a metaphor. That is not the kind of thing people say to sound dramatic. That is already happening in every industry simultaneously, in every country, in creative fields, financial systems, logistics, healthcare, education, media, communication, all of it, right now. And the people on the wrong side of that divide mostly don't know it yet. But this is where things start to get genuinely uncomfortable, because the same intelligence that creates with such ease can also deceive with the same ease. Voices cloned so completely, so perfectly calibrated to every subtle quality of a real person's speech that you would recognize them as someone you love, a parent, a sibling, a friend whose voice you know the way you know your own, someone you would trust without question, someone whose words you would act on immediately.
Please help me. They have me.
Wait, who is this?
Sweetheart, what's happening?
I don't know where I am. They said if you don't send the money, they'll hurt me.
Oh my God.
Please.
Faces generated with a technical precision so fine that every pore, every micro-expression, every imperfection is rendered with the specific intention of making you believe. Videos documenting events that never happened.
Good morning. A section of Monroe Street in downtown Chicago is closed right now after a pre-dawn sinkhole exposed what experts say is a perfectly preserved ballroom dating back to the 1890s.
Confirmed the storm has fully dissipated.
There's no longer any threat to coastal communities.
A severe storm is expected to make landfall tonight. Residents are urged to shelter in place.
Conversations between people who never spoke.
Hey, you there? Just making sure we're still good. You look tired. I'll send you the file later, okay? Don't stay up too late.
Statements from people who said nothing of the kind. Confessions, emergencies, revelations, all synthetic, all manufactured, all built with the singular purpose of landing as real inside the mind of whoever sees them. And they don't just look real, they feel real. They land with emotional weight the way real things do. They trigger the responses that real events trigger: fear, anger, grief, outrage, because they were engineered from the ground up to do exactly that. Built to feel real, designed to bypass your skepticism entirely. So here's the uncomfortable question. If everything you see can be generated from nothing, and everything you hear can be synthesized from scratch, and every piece of evidence can be fabricated with enough technical skill, how do you know what is actually true anymore? And if that certainty is gone, what happens to the way you make decisions? What happens to trust? What happens to the shared understanding of reality that every functioning society depends on? Because AI doesn't just understand data anymore. It understands people. Your specific behavioral patterns built up over years of digital interaction, your emotional triggers, the particular insecurities that drive your decisions even when you're not aware they're driving them, the fears that surface at 3 a.m, the desires you've never spoken out loud to anyone, the combination of things that will make you stop and pay attention when everything else fails to. And it uses all of that constantly to predict what you'll do next, to decide what you should encounter next, to keep you in exactly the emotional state that makes you most useful to whatever system is running you. This isn't theory from a science fiction novel. This isn't speculation from someone imagining a future that doesn't exist yet. These systems are real. They have been running for years. They have been refined through hundreds of billions of human interactions. They have been quietly tested and adjusted and optimized on real people, in real time, without consent or disclosure, until they reached a level of effectiveness that should give all of us pause. And the organizations that built them did not build them to make your life richer or more meaningful. They built them to hold your attention for as long as possible, at as low a cost as possible, for their benefit, not yours. Every click, every pause, every search query, every reaction, every micro moment of hesitation before you decide whether to buy something or scroll past it. Every time you watch something longer than you meant to. Every time you felt an emotion you didn't expect to feel from something you only meant to glance at. All of it recorded, all of it stored, all of it analyzed and cross-referenced and fed back into a system that becomes more accurate every single time you interact with it. A system that is, in a very real sense, getting to know you more deeply and more completely with every passing day. Not in the way a friend knows you, not with care or affection or any interest in your well-being, but with a cold, mechanical, extraordinarily precise kind of knowing that has one purpose: to predict what you will do and to make sure you do it. And here is the part that deserves your full attention. Control doesn't look like control anymore. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't feel like restriction. It doesn't arrive with the kind of obvious pressure that would cause you to resist it. It feels like convenience. It feels like personalization. It feels like the world just happens to be showing you exactly what you were already thinking about. Exactly what you needed, right when you needed it. Like something is listening. Like something understands you. And it works so smoothly, so quietly, so perfectly tuned to your individual psychology that most people never think to question it. Most people experience it as comfort. Most people would defend it if you tried to take it away. But here is the part that most people miss entirely. The part that changes everything if you let it. This same system, this same technology, this same underlying infrastructure that quietly governs the distracted and processes the unaware and harvests attention from those who haven't thought to protect it, can be used not just to consume, but to create at a scale and speed that has never existed before. Not just to scroll through someone else's output indefinitely, but to build systems that generate your own, consistently, automatically, without requiring your constant presence. The same AI that decides which video to recommend to someone can produce that video entirely. The same AI that tracks spending patterns across hundreds of millions of people can run your entire business operation without a single employee. The same machine that processes billions of human behaviors as raw data can be directed by one focused, intentional person to produce the creative and operational output of an entire company. That is not exaggeration for effect. That is a description of what is already happening. Right now, in ordinary places, by ordinary people who made one decision differently from everyone else. They decided to understand the tool instead of simply being processed by it. And that single difference in orientation changed everything about where they ended up. Some of those people are already operating at a level most people don't yet believe is possible, and you would never identify them from the outside. There is no press release announcing what they built. There is no public display of what their systems are generating. There is no curated lifestyle designed to signal success to people watching. Just systems, running, producing, distributing, growing steadily and compounding continuously without requiring their presence to maintain momentum. Content being created and delivered automatically to audiences who never needed to see a face behind it. Revenue building from automated processes that operate around the clock, in every time zone simultaneously, without fatigue, without inconsistency, without the limitations that constrain every business built on human effort alone. These people are not extraordinarily talented. They are not connected to resources most people don't have access to. They are not operating with some advantage that isn't available to you. They made a choice to be intentional with a tool most people are just reacting to. And the gap between what they are quietly building and what everyone else is still doing the old way compounds every single day. While others react to notifications, they design the systems behind them. While others spend their time consuming the output of AI, they sit at the controls and direct what gets produced. While others scroll endlessly through someone else's carefully built world, they are quietly constructing their own. The difference between those two positions is not complicated. It is not reserved for engineers. It is not something that requires a technical background or years of specialized education or access to resources that ordinary people don't have. It is awareness. It is the choice to understand what this technology actually is, what it is genuinely capable of, what it is going to do to every industry and every form of work in the next 3 to 5 years, and then making a decision, a conscious, deliberate, intentional decision to be on the right side of it. So where does all of this actually lead? There are two futures being built right now, simultaneously, in parallel, by different groups of people making different kinds of choices. In one future, AI becomes the most powerful amplifier of human potential the world has ever produced. It absorbs the repetitive so that humans can focus entirely on the meaningful. It handles the mechanical so that creativity has more room to breathe. It gives ordinary people access to capabilities that once belonged only to the well-resourced and well-connected. It levels something fundamental about the way power and opportunity are distributed. It makes possible what was never possible before. And it does all of that while humans remain at the center, directing it, improving it, and deciding what it should be used for. In the other future, we slowly and quietly lose the ability to do things for ourselves. Children grow up without ever developing patience or frustration tolerance, because there was always an algorithm to skip the waiting and smooth over the difficulty. Creativity erodes gradually and almost imperceptibly, because machines produce faster, cheaper, and without fatigue. And at some point, it no longer feels worth the effort to compete. Human judgment becomes optional in more and more situations. Human effort becomes redundant in more and more industries. Human meaning becomes harder and harder to locate. And we find ourselves living in a world that is extraordinarily efficient and profoundly, quietly empty, where the ability to sit with boredom has disappeared, where the ability to tolerate ambiguity has been engineered away, where the ability to form an independent thought without instantly reaching for a device to confirm or validate it has become genuinely rare. That future is not inevitable, but it is not impossible either. And the direction of that outcome is being set right now, by decisions being made at scale, by people and organizations most of us will never interact with directly. The truth is, both of those futures are entirely possible. Both are being built right now, and which one arrives depends entirely on the choices being made today. Because AI is not good, and AI is not bad. It is a tool, possibly the most consequential and double-edged tool ever placed in human hands. More transformative than the printing press, which changed what entire civilizations believed by making ideas reproducible and distributable at scale. More powerful than electricity, which rebuilt the physical infrastructure of human civilization and made possible every modern industry that followed it. More far-reaching than the internet, which collapsed the cost of communication and distribution to nearly nothing, and in doing so produced the wealthiest and most powerful organizations in all of human history. Every one of those technologies was neutral at its core. Every one of them was shaped entirely by whoever chose to use them with intention. Every one of them created two categories of people simultaneously: those who understood what had arrived, and those who didn't. The people who understood the printing press early changed what populations believed across generations. The people who understood electricity before it was obvious redesigned the physical structure of the modern world. The people who understood the internet when it was still being dismissed built the companies that now shape the daily experience of billions of people. And the people who understand AI will shape whatever world comes after this one. So the real question is not whether AI is dangerous. It is not whether AI will eventually disrupt your industry. It already is. It is not whether AI will reshape your work, your income, your creative process, your access to information, your daily experience of life. It already has. The real question, the only question that carries any real weight right now, is whether you are in control of the tool, or whether the tool, slowly, gradually, without a single dramatic moment you could point to, is in control of you. Because the world will not pause to explain what's happening. It will not wait while you decide whether you're ready. It will not arrive with a warning or a moment of clarity that makes the choice obvious. The people who don't notice the shift will simply wake up one day and find that the world has already moved entirely without them. And by then, the distance will be very difficult to close. History has never been kind to the people who waited until the transformation was completely obvious before they moved. By the time something is obvious to everyone, the advantage has already been claimed by someone else. The window is open right now. It will not stay open forever. So tell me, which world do you prefer? The one we had or the one we're building? Artificial intelligence isn't coming. It's already here, and the people who understand it will shape the future, while everyone else simply lives inside it. The question is which one you choose to be.